Hollywood, often seen as the pinnacle of glamour, creativity, and fame, has a darker side, a shadowy underbelly filled with unsolved mysteries, untimely deaths, and allegations of cover-ups and conspiracies. Beneath the glittering surface lies a tapestry of chilling stories that challenge our perceptions of the entertainment industry. From the puzzling deaths of rising stars to the alleged manipulation of cultural icons, these tales are not only fascinating but also raise profound questions about power, control, and accountability. In this video, we'll uncover 10 of Hollywood's most intriguing and haunting stories, delving deep into the mysterious circumstances surrounding the deaths of Marilyn Monroe and Natalie Wood, the disturbing allegations against Jeffrey Epstein's Hollywood ties, and the unresolved disappearance of Spangler. Each story takes us further into the shadows, forcing us to confront the darker realities of an industry that thrives on illusion. On the glittering surface of fame and fortune, few names shine brighter than Sean P. Diddy Combs. Known as a music mogul, entrepreneur, and cultural icon, Diddy has crafted an empire that defines success in modern entertainment. Yet beneath this gilded exterior lies a labyrinth of controversies, accusations, and secrets that paint a far more complicated portrait of one of Hollywood's most polarizing figures. Sean Combs' rise to prominence in the 1990s with Bad Boy Records is the stuff of legends. The label became synonymous with chart-topping hits, flashy lifestyles, and an unapologetic celebration of hip-hop culture. But as Bad Boy's artists dominated the airwaves, troubling incidents began to surface that suggested all was not as it seemed behind the scenes. One of the most enduring controversies surrounding P. Diddy is his alleged connection to the murders of two hip-hop legends, Tupac Shakur and the notorious Big. While these killings remain officially unsolved, theories have persisted for decades, implicating figures within the music industry. Some former associates of Diddy have claimed that he played a role, either directly or indirectly, in the violence that engulfed the East Coast-West Coast rap feud. Although no concrete evidence has ever linked him to these tragedies, the cloud of suspicion has lingered, fueled by interviews, leaked documents, and the accounts of those who once operated within his orbit. In addition to these grave accusations, Diddy has faced numerous allegations of exploitation and mistreatment from former Bad Boy artists. Luminaries such as Mace, Faith Evans, and the Lox have publicly accused Diddy of unfair contracts, withholding royalties, and leveraging his power to keep them financially dependent. These claims have tarnished his reputation, casting a shadow over his status as a champion of black entrepreneurship. More recently, Diddy has found himself embroiled in lawsuits that allege sexual misconduct and abuse. In November 2023, singer Kappy Ventura, who had a decade-long professional and personal relationship with Diddy, filed a lawsuit accusing him of sexual assault, physical abuse, and a pattern of coercive control. While the case was settled within days of filing, it reopened discussions about power dynamics in the music industry and the alleged misuse of influence by those at the top. Beyond his personal scandals, Diddy has been criticized for his perceived role in perpetuating materialism and consumerism within hip-hop culture. His promotion of luxury brands, extravagant parties, and high-priced ventures has often been at odds with the socio-economic realities faced by many of his fans. Critics argue that Diddy's empire, while undeniably successful, reflects a broader cultural problem, the commodification of art and identity for corporate gain. P. Diddy's story is one of stark contrasts, a man who has redefined what it means to be a mogul in the modern era, yet whose legacy is marred by allegations that challenge the integrity of his empire. His impact on music, fashion, and culture is undeniable, but his controversies serve as a reminder of the complexities of power, influence, and accountability in Hollywood and beyond. On the night of October 30th, 1993, Hollywood lost one of its brightest young stars. River Phoenix, just 23 years old, collapsed outside the Viper Room, a nightclub co-owned by Johnny Depp. While his death was attributed to a drug overdose, the circumstances surrounding that fateful night, and the life that led up to it, are far more complex and unsettling than the official narrative suggests. River Phoenix was no ordinary actor. Born to a family deeply entrenched in the controversial religious group, the Children of God, his childhood was marked by a nomadic lifestyle and exposure to environments that were anything but conventional. River, alongside his siblings, including fellow actor Joaquin Phoenix, found solace in music and acting, quickly becoming a prodigious talent. By the time he was a teenager, River had earned critical acclaim for roles in films like Stand By Me and My Own Private Idaho. He was hailed as the James Dean of his generation, a title that would take on a haunting resonance after his untimely demise. On the night of his death, River arrived at the Viper Room with his girlfriend, Samantha Mathis, and his siblings, Joaquin and Rain. The club, a popular hangout for Hollywood's elite, was known for its vibrant yet secretive atmosphere. Witnesses reported seeing River in a state of distress, visibly unwell, but still engaging with others at the venue. Around 1 a.m., he collapsed on the sidewalk outside the club, convulsing violently. His brother Joaquin made the now infamous 911 call, pleading for help as onlookers, including members of the entertainment world, gathered around. The official autopsy report revealed a lethal combination of cocaine and heroin in River's system, a mix commonly known as a speedball. This explanation seemed straightforward at first, but questions soon arose about how and why River ended up in such a dire situation. River's friends and associates described him as someone who generally avoided hard drugs, making the circumstances of his overdose particularly puzzling. In the months leading up to his death, however, those close to him noticed a change. River had been working on Dark Blood, a film that pushed him to his emotional and physical limits. Combined with the pressures of fame, his descent into substance use appeared to be gradual yet inevitable. Adding to the intrigue are claims about what happened inside the Viper Room that night. Some accounts suggest that River ingested the fatal substances not voluntarily, but as a result of peer pressure or even coercion. Others have pointed to the club's reputation for drug activity, implying that the venue's culture may have played a role in his tragic end. One particularly controversial theory implicates the darker side of Hollywood itself. River's early life in The Children of God exposed him to exploitation and abuse, experiences that reportedly haunted him well into adulthood. Some speculate that the trauma he endured as a child contributed to his struggles with substance abuse and his eventual demise. Compounding the tragedy is the unfinished state of Dark Blood. The film was shelved for nearly 2 decades before being completed in 2012, offering a poignant glimpse into the talent and potential that River took with him to the grave. His death remains a sobering reminder of the pressures faced by young stars, many of whom are thrust into the spotlight without adequate support or protection. River Phoenix's death was not merely the result of a single night's decisions, but the culmination of a lifetime shaped by trauma, pressure, and the darker undercurrents of Hollywood. His story is a stark illustration of the industry's failure to safeguard its most vulnerable talents, and it continues to resonate with those seeking to understand the human cost of fame. Few families in Hollywood are as iconic as the Lees. Bruce Lee, a martial arts legend, reshaped global cinema with his unparalleled talent and charisma, while his son, Brandon Lee, was on the cusp of achieving his own stardom. But the Lee family's legacy is forever marked by 2 tragic deaths, each surrounded by controversy and unanswered questions that continue to baffle and haunt the public imagination. Bruce Lee was more than an actor, he was a cultural phenomenon. Born in 1940 in San Francisco and raised in Hong Kong, he introduced the world to martial arts as both an art form and a philosophy. Films like Enter the Dragon catapulted him to international fame, and his teachings left a profound mark on martial artists and film enthusiasts alike. But on July 20th, 1973, Bruce Lee, at just 32 years old, died suddenly, sending shockwaves through the world. The official cause of death was listed as cerebral edema, or brain swelling, allegedly triggered by a reaction to the painkiller Equagesic. However, this explanation has done little to quell speculation. Some argue that Lee's intense physical training and lack of body fat made him vulnerable to health issues. Others suggest he may have suffered from heat stroke, as his death occurred during a sweltering Hong Kong summer and in a home without air conditioning. But more ominous theories soon emerged. One of the most persistent rumors involves a so-called family curse. According to this theory, Bruce's death was part of a series of misfortunes plaguing the Lee family, possibly rooted in supernatural or cultural beliefs. Others point to foul play, with allegations ranging from disputes with Hong Kong triads to poisoning by jealous rivals. These claims remain unproven, but highlight the deep fascination and mystery surrounding Bruce Lee's untimely demise. Nearly 2 decades later, tragedy struck the family again. Brandon Lee, Bruce's only son, was following in his father's footsteps, carving out a promising career in Hollywood. His role in The Crow was poised to establish him as a star in his own right. But on March 31, 1993, during the filming of a scene involving a gun, Brandon was fatally shot when a prop gun discharged a real bullet. He was 28 years old. An investigation revealed that the gun had been improperly loaded, with a fragment of a real bullet lodged in the barrel. When a blank cartridge was fired, it propelled the fragment, striking Brandon in the abdomen. While the incident was officially ruled an accident, the circumstances surrounding the mishap raised questions about negligence on set. Why were safety protocols not followed? How did a fragment of a live round find its way into the prop weapon? As with his father's death, Brandon's demise sparked rumors and conspiracy theories. Some believe his death was part of the same family curse that allegedly claimed Bruce. Others suggest deliberate sabotage, pointing to potential enemies of the Lee family or industry pressures. While these claims lack concrete evidence, they underscore the aura of mystery that surrounds the Lees. The dual tragedies have left an indelible mark on Hollywood and martial arts communities alike. Both Bruce and Brandon's legacies endure through their films, philosophies, and the profound impact they've had on generations. Yet their deaths serve as reminders of the fragility of life, even for those who seem larger than life itself. The deaths of Bruce and Brandon Lee are more than personal losses. They represent the complex interplay of fame, cultural expectations, and human error. Their stories continue to captivate because they defy easy explanations, inviting speculation and reflection on the nature of legacy and mortality. The death of Brittany Murphy is one of Hollywood's most perplexing tragedies. At just 32 years old, she was found lifeless in her bathroom, her sudden demise leaving the world stunned. Officially attributed to pneumonia, anemia, and drug intoxication, the circumstances surrounding her death and the eerily similar passing of her husband, Simon Monjack, just months later, have led to lingering questions. Was Brittany Murphy's death a tragic accident, or does it point to something far more sinister? To understand Brittany Murphy's death, we must first delve into her life, shaped by triumph and turbulence. Born in 1977, Brittany grew up under the care of her mother, Sharon Murphy, after her parents' divorce. From an early age, her charisma and talent were evident, propelling her to Hollywood success. Films like Clueless and 8 Mile showcased her comedic timing and dramatic depth, earning her a place among Hollywood's most promising stars. However, Brittany's life began to take a darker turn in the mid-2000s. Despite her success, rumors of erratic behavior and professional difficulties emerged. Some insiders attributed this to the relentless pressure of maintaining fame. Others pointed to her personal life, particularly her relationship with Simon Monjack, a man often described as secretive and controversial. Monjack, who faced lawsuits and financial troubles before marrying Brittany, was said to wield significant control over her, isolating her from close friends and colleagues. On December 20th, 2009, a frantic 911 call from Sharon Murphy reported Brittany unconscious in the bathroom of her Hollywood Hills home. Paramedics arrived to find her in cardiac arrest. Despite their efforts, Brittany was pronounced dead at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The autopsy report listed pneumonia and anemia as the primary causes, compounded by over-the-counter and prescription medications, including antihistamines and painkillers. While this seemed to close the case, critical questions remained. How did a young, otherwise healthy woman succumb to such conditions? Why was anemia left untreated, and why was she consuming such a cocktail of drugs? The house where Brittany and Simon lived became a focal point of scrutiny. Formerly owned by Britney Spears, the home was alleged to have been infested with toxic mold. Though this theory gained traction, the Los Angeles Department of Public Health later dismissed mold as a significant factor. Still, questions lingered. Could long-term exposure to environmental toxins have weakened Brittany's immune system, making her vulnerable to pneumonia? Simon Monjack's role in Brittany's life and her death raises troubling questions. Friends described him as a manipulative figure who controlled Brittany's career and finances, discouraging her from seeking medical help despite her declining health. Some allege that Simon benefited financially from her career, living off her earnings while keeping her isolated. Monjack's own death in May 2010, just 5 months after Brittany's, added another layer of intrigue. Found in the same home, he too succumbed to pneumonia and anemia, raising suspicions of foul play. Was their shared fate a coincidence, or evidence of something more sinister? A father's pursuit of truth. Brittany's estranged father, Angelo Bertolotti, rejected the official narrative. He commissioned a private lab to analyze hair samples, which reportedly found high levels of heavy metals. These findings led Bertolotti to suggest that Brittany might have been poisoned, possibly by someone with access to her home. However, experts have noted that such heavy metal levels could result from environmental exposure or hair products, complicating this theory. As we piece together the fragments of Brittany Murphy's story, several theories emerge. Was Brittany's death a result of overmedication? Her autopsy revealed a range of drugs, all legal, but potentially dangerous in combination. Did a doctor's negligence or overprescription contribute to her decline? Could Simon Monjack or another individual have had financial reasons to harm Brittany? At the time of her death, Monjack faced mounting debts, leading some to suspect foul play. Was toxic mold a factor despite official dismissals? If not mold, could other environmental toxins in their home have compromised their health over time? Did Hollywood's culture of silence around mental health and substance abuse prevent Brittany from receiving the help she needed? Was Brittany deliberately poisoned? If so, by whom and why? Angelo Bertolotti's theory of foul play remains speculative, but it cannot be fully ruled out without further evidence. Could Brittany's death and the lack of a thorough investigation suggest attempts to conceal deeper truths? Hollywood has a history of burying scandals to protect reputations and careers. Looking at Brittany's case through a detective's lens reveals patterns of neglect and exploitation. A young woman surrounded by enablers, burdened by fame, and possibly manipulated by those closest to her. Brittany's tragic end feels like a case study in Hollywood's darker dynamics. If foul play was involved, the perpetrators may have exploited her vulnerabilities, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. Brittany Murphy's death defies simple explanations. Her story is a tangled web of personal struggles, questionable influences, and systemic failures. While we may never know the full truth, revisiting her life and death allows us to confront the darker forces that operate in the shadows of Hollywood. On the morning of August 9, 1969, the world awoke to one of the most gruesome crimes in modern history: the murder of actress Sharon Tate and 4 others in her Benedict Canyon home. The perpetrators? Members of the so-called Manson family, followers of the enigmatic and deeply disturbing Charles Manson. Decades later, the brutal slayings remain a chilling chapter in Hollywood's history. Yet beneath the surface lies an even darker theory, one that ties Manson to the CIA's notorious MK-Ultra program, a secretive mind control experiment. Could Manson's reign of terror have been a sinister byproduct of government manipulation? In 1967, Charles Manson emerged in San Francisco's counterculture scene, a charismatic yet troubled figure. After spending much of his life in and out of prison, Manson found a home among the disillusioned youth of the 1960s. He attracted a group of followers, mostly young women, who believed in his warped interpretation of spirituality and philosophy. By 1969, Manson had established a commune at Spahn Ranch, an abandoned movie set outside Los Angeles. It was here that he preached his apocalyptic vision of helter-skelter, a race war he believed he could incite. To achieve this, Manson ordered his followers to commit a series of murders that shocked the world. The most infamous of these was the slaying of Sharon Tate, the pregnant wife of filmmaker Roman Polanski, and her house guests. The brutality of the murders, descriptions of the victims being stabbed dozens of times, messages scrawled in blood on the walls, cemented the Manson family's place in infamy. Yet, for all its notoriety, the story of the Manson murders only deepens upon closer inspection. The CIA's MK-Ultra program, officially launched in the early 1950s, sought to develop methods of mind control, allegedly to counter perceived threats during the Cold War. The program involved experiments with LSD, psychological manipulation, and other extreme techniques. Many of these experiments were conducted on unwitting subjects, leaving a legacy of trauma and controversy. Here's where the story takes a curious turn. Several researchers, including journalist Tom O'Neill in his book Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s, have suggested that Manson may have been a participant or even a product of MK Ultra. Unusual parole circumstances. Manson's criminal record raises significant questions. Despite multiple arrests for serious offenses, Manson was repeatedly granted parole, often under circumstances that defied logic. Some speculate that Manson was protected because he was a subject of covert experimentation. Connection to LSD and Dr. Jolly West Manson's use of LSD to control his followers mirrors MK Ultra techniques. O'Neill and others have pointed to Dr. Lewis Jolly West, a psychiatrist linked to MK Ultra who operated in the same circles as Manson. West was known to study the effects of LSD on human behavior and was deeply involved in experiments designed to manipulate the mind. The Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic. Manson and his followers were frequent visitors to the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic in San Francisco. This clinic was connected to research projects reportedly funded by the CIA. Some theorists argue that Manson's access to drugs and psychological tactics originated from individuals linked to these experiments. The murder of Sharon Tate also invites scrutiny of her husband, filmmaker Roman Polanski. Polanski was not at home on the night of the murders, but his proximity to the occult and alleged scandals adds another layer of intrigue. Polanski's controversial film, Rosemary's Baby, released just a year before the murders, deals with themes of satanic cults and ritualistic control. Some conspiracy theorists claim Polanski's work, combined with his later legal troubles, suggests he may have been tangentially involved in or aware of occult practices in Hollywood. While these claims lack substantial evidence, they contribute to the web of theories surrounding the Manson murders. Exploring the motivations. If Manson was indeed connected to MK Ultra, what was the goal? Some theorists propose the murders were orchestrated to discredit the counterculture movement of the 1960s. By painting hippies and free thinkers as dangerous and unhinged, the establishment could justify cracking down on dissent. Others suggest a darker agenda, using Manson as a puppet to sow chaos and fear. The brutal nature of the murders, combined with their symbolic overtones, ensured they would remain seared into public consciousness. The Manson family murders changed Hollywood and America forever. They marked the symbolic end of the 1960s, shattering the illusion of peace and love that defined the era. But beyond their cultural significance, they serve as a grim reminder of the potential for manipulation, whether by individuals like Manson or larger unseen forces. If the MK Ultra connection holds any truth, it raises ethical and moral questions about the lengths to which governments and institutions will go in pursuit of power and control. In May 2019, news broke that actor Isaac Kappy had died after reportedly jumping off a bridge in Arizona. Known for minor roles in films like Thor and Terminator Salvation, Kappy's fame didn't come from his acting career. It stemmed from his shocking allegations against Hollywood elites. In the months leading up to his death, Kappy claimed to have uncovered dark secrets about the entertainment industry, including accusations of pedophilia and systemic corruption. His death, ruled a suicide, left many wondering if he had uncovered truths too dangerous to reveal. The rise of Isaac Kappy's claims. Isaac Kappy was a relatively obscure figure in Hollywood, known more for his associations with prominent actors than for his roles. In 2018, however, he began to gain attention for a series of videos and social media posts in which he made explosive accusations against well-known figures in the entertainment industry. Kappy alleged that Hollywood harbored a network of powerful individuals engaged in illicit activities, including child trafficking and sexual abuse. He named high-profile celebrities such as Tom Hanks, Seth Green, and others, claiming they were part of this network. These allegations were not substantiated by evidence, but they resonated with certain corners of the internet, particularly among conspiracy theorists. A life spiraling out of control. As Kappy's claims gained traction online, his personal life began to unravel. Former friends and acquaintances distanced themselves from him, describing erratic behavior and increasing paranoia. He became a polarizing figure, hailed as a whistleblower by some, and dismissed as a troubled individual seeking attention by others. Kappy's social media posts grew darker over time. He often spoke of feeling watched and threatened, suggesting that forces within Hollywood were trying to silence him. In one video, he cryptically stated, "I'm not suicidal," a comment that many later pointed to as evidence that his death might not have been self-inflicted. The final days. On May 13, 2019, Kappy was found dead on a highway in Belmont, Arizona. According to police reports, he had jumped off a bridge onto Interstate 40 and was struck by a passing vehicle. Witnesses at the scene claimed that Kappy had forced himself off the bridge, despite attempts by others to restrain him. In a note reportedly found at the scene, Kappy confessed to being overwhelmed by guilt and apologized to those he felt he had hurt. The note also mentioned that he had betrayed certain people, though the specifics of this betrayal were unclear. Authorities quickly ruled his death a suicide, but many of Kappy's followers were unconvinced. Theories and speculations. Kappy's death has fueled a myriad of theories. Some believe Kappy was silenced by those he accused. They point to his cryptic statements about being in danger and suggest his death was staged to appear as a suicide. Others argue that Kappy's behavior was indicative of a severe mental health crisis. His escalating paranoia and estrangement from friends could point to a psychological breakdown rather than an orchestrated plot. A smaller subset of theorists suggest Kappy might have been used as a disinformation agent, spreading sensational claims to distract from real scandals. His death, in this view, was either a planned exit or the result of his refusal to continue cooperating. Evidence and contradictions. Despite the theories, certain elements of Kappy's story remain unexplained. Shortly before his death, Kappy released a video in which he appeared distraught and spoke of making mistakes. Did he know his death was imminent, or was he genuinely preparing to end his life? Posts from Kappy's accounts hinted at larger conspiracies, yet they lacked specific, actionable details. Were these posts genuine attempts at whistleblowing or expressions of a troubled mind? Eyewitnesses reported that Kappy jumped voluntarily, but why did he choose such a public and dramatic method? Isaac's story sits at the intersection of Hollywood intrigue, internet conspiracy culture, and the tragic consequences of mental health neglect. His accusations, though unverified, resonated with those already skeptical of Hollywood's elite, amplifying discussions about power and accountability in the entertainment industry. While his death is officially ruled a suicide, the questions it raises remain deeply unsettling. Whether Kappy was a misguided individual consumed by paranoia or someone who unearthed truths too dangerous to share, his story has become a cautionary tale about the cost of challenging powerful institutions. Jeffrey Epstein was a man of many masks, financier, philanthropist, and convicted sex offender. But behind the facade of wealth and charm lay an insidious network of exploitation and manipulation. While his connections to politicians and royalty have dominated headlines, his entanglements with Hollywood's elite remain an equally chilling and underexplored chapter. Did Epstein's influence in Tinseltown go beyond social circles? And could the entertainment industry have played a role in hiding his crimes? Epstein's Hollywood network. Epstein's rise to prominence depended on his ability to infiltrate powerful circles, and Hollywood was no exception. Known for his lavish parties and private jet, Epstein positioned himself as a gatekeeper to an exclusive lifestyle that attracted celebrities, actors, and producers. His ties to Hollywood were not accidental. Epstein's charm and wealth gave him access to the industry's most influential figures, allowing him to blur the lines between legitimate networking and darker agendas. Celebrities and moguls. Epstein's network of Hollywood connections was vast, and while not everyone in his circle was implicated in wrongdoing, their proximity raises significant questions. Kevin Spacey's name appears repeatedly in Epstein's flight logs. The disgraced actor, later accused of sexual misconduct by multiple individuals, traveled with Epstein on international trips. Some theorists have speculated that their relationship went beyond mere socialization. The actor and comedian Chris Tucker flew with Epstein and Bill Clinton on a humanitarian trip to Africa. While Tucker has not faced accusations, his inclusion in Epstein's circle has fueled curiosity about the financier's reach. The billionaire behind Victoria's Secret, Les Wexner, was one of Epstein's closest associates. Though not directly tied to Hollywood, Wexner's connections to modeling agencies and fashion brands provided Epstein with access to aspiring stars, many of whom reported being exploited under the guise of career opportunities. Epstein's partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell, was integral to building their Hollywood network. Known for her charm and sophistication, Maxwell attended premieres, charity galas, and other high-profile events, often accompanied by A-list celebrities. Her role allegedly extended beyond social networking. Survivors have accused Maxwell of recruiting young women from Hollywood-adjacent spaces, such as modeling agencies and talent scouting events. The glamour and promise of stardom made these environments ripe for exploitation. The casting couch allegory Hollywood has long been plagued by the infamous casting couch culture, where young hopefuls are exploited under the pretense of advancing their careers. Epstein and Maxwell appear to have leveraged this dynamic, using the allure of connections and opportunities to lure their victims. Were Epstein's parties a facade for recruitment? Did entertainment insiders turn a blind eye, or worse, facilitate these operations? One of the most chilling aspects of Epstein's network is the potential for blackmail. Reports suggest Epstein had an extensive collection of videos and photographs documenting his guests in compromising situations. While these claims remain speculative, they point to the possibility that Epstein used these materials to secure influence over Hollywood elites, ensuring their silence or cooperation. Despite the media frenzy surrounding Epstein's arrest and subsequent death, Hollywood has remained conspicuously silent. Few celebrities have publicly addressed their connections to Epstein, and some appear to have distanced themselves entirely. This silence has sparked debate. Could some Hollywood figures be avoiding scrutiny due to their proximity to Epstein? Hollywood has a long history of protecting its own, often at the expense of justice. Epstein's ties to the industry may reveal deeper systemic issues. Jeffrey Epstein's connection to Hollywood is not just a story of personal relationships, but a window into the darker undercurrents of the entertainment industry. His ability to exploit power dynamics, manipulate vulnerable individuals, and maintain a network of enablers speaks to broader issues of accountability and transparency in Hollywood. What role did Hollywood elites play in enabling Epstein's operations? How many of his victims were aspiring actors or models drawn to Los Angeles by dreams of stardom? Why has Hollywood, an industry so adept at storytelling, failed to reckon fully with Epstein's legacy? As investigations continue, Epstein's story serves as a grim reminder of how wealth and influence can mask the most egregious crimes. Hollywood, with its long-standing culture of secrecy, must confront its complicity in this narrative or risk allowing history to repeat itself. In the early hours of August 5, 1962, Marilyn Monroe, Hollywood's ultimate icon, was discovered lifeless in her Los Angeles home. Her official cause of death was listed as probable suicide due to a barbiturate overdose, but the circumstances surrounding her death have sparked decades of speculation. From her alleged affairs with powerful men to her rumored ties to government conspiracies, Marilyn's final moments remain a puzzle that refuses to be solved. Marilyn Monroe's life was a dichotomy of glamour and tragedy. Born Norma Jean Mortensen, she rose from a turbulent childhood in foster care to become one of the most recognizable faces in the world. Yet behind the facade of fame, Marilyn struggled with mental health issues, addiction, and the pressures of Hollywood's relentless spotlight. On the night of August 4, 1962, Marilyn was reportedly at home in Brentwood, speaking with friends on the phone. According to her housekeeper, Eunice Murray, Marilyn retired to her bedroom around 8 p.m. Hours later, Murray noticed something was amiss when she saw a light still on in Marilyn's room. Unable to get a response, she called Marilyn's psychiatrist, Dr. Ralph Greenson, who arrived and reportedly broke a window to find her unresponsive. The coroner's report concluded that Marilyn had died of acute barbiturate poisoning. Empty pill bottles were found by her bedside, and the levels of drugs in her system suggested a deliberate overdose. The case was quickly ruled a probable suicide, but inconsistencies in the timeline and evidence raised immediate doubts. One of the most enduring theories about Marilyn's death involves her alleged relationships with President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. Marilyn's connection to the Kennedys has been well documented, with many believing she had an affair with JFK. Some accounts suggest that Marilyn became romantically involved with Robert Kennedy as well, a claim bolstered by her reported attendance at events where the brothers were present. As Marilyn's mental health deteriorated, she allegedly began to feel used and betrayed by the powerful men in her life. Some theorists claim she threatened to expose secrets she had learned during her relationships with the Kennedys, including sensitive political information. Her infamous rendition of "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" at JFK's birthday celebration in May 1962 added fuel to the speculation about their relationship and its potential fallout. Could Marilyn have been silenced to protect the Kennedys from scandal or to safeguard national security? Declassified documents revealed that Marilyn Monroe was under surveillance by the FBI in the years leading up to her death. The files describe her as a potential security risk, partly due to her association with individuals linked to leftist ideologies. Some theorists speculate that Marilyn's knowledge of state secrets, whether through pillow talk with JFK or her connections to other influential figures, made her a liability. This theory posits that her death was orchestrated to prevent her from going public with damaging information. Numerous inconsistencies in the official account of Marilyn's death have fueled alternative theories. Witness testimonies about the timeline of events that night vary, raising questions about when Marilyn was discovered and why authorities were not contacted immediately. The absence of pill residue in Marilyn's stomach has led some experts to question whether she ingested the drugs orally or was administered them by other means. Marilyn reportedly kept a diary where she documented her thoughts and conversations with influential people. The diary was allegedly missing after her death, fueling suspicions of foul play. Marilyn's housekeeper gave conflicting statements about the events of that night, further muddying the waters. Hollywood's role in Marilyn's life and death cannot be overlooked. The studio system of the 1950s and 60s was notorious for exploiting its stars, controlling every aspect of their lives, and discarding them when they were no longer profitable. Marilyn, with her vulnerabilities and desire for independence, clashed with this system repeatedly. Some theorists suggest that Marilyn's death was not a calculated murder but a consequence of neglect. Surrounded by enablers and exploited by powerful men, she was ultimately left to face her demons alone. Marilyn Monroe remains an enduring symbol of beauty, talent, and fragility. Her death continues to captivate the public, not only because of its tragic nature, but also because of the larger questions it raises about power, exploitation, and secrecy in Hollywood. Why were key elements of the investigation handled so poorly? What, if anything, did Marilyn know that posed a threat to those in power? Will we ever uncover the full truth about her final hours? Though decades have passed, the mystery surrounding Marilyn's death is a testament to her cultural impact and the unresolved tensions between celebrity, politics, and power. On October 7, 1949, Jean Spangler, a rising starlet and young mother, kissed her 5-year-old daughter Christine goodbye and left her Los Angeles home. She said she was meeting her ex-husband to discuss child support, then heading to work on a film set. She never returned. Days later, her purse was discovered in Griffith Park, its strap torn, and a cryptic note tucked inside. Despite an extensive investigation and countless theories, Jean Spangler's disappearance remains one of Hollywood's most haunting cold cases. Jean Spangler's life. Born in 1923, Jean Spangler was a model, dancer, and aspiring actress, working in bit parts and uncredited roles in films. Though not yet a household name, she was gaining recognition for her striking beauty and magnetic presence. Her personal life, however, was far more turbulent. Spangler had been embroiled in a bitter custody battle with her ex-husband, Dexter Benner, over their daughter. Friends described Benner as controlling and aggressive, and Jean's friends and family feared for her safety. At the time of her disappearance, Jean had reportedly rekindled a romance with a man she referred to as Kirk, though his full identity remains unknown. 2 days after Jean disappeared, park rangers found her purse in Griffith Park. The torn strap suggested a struggle, and inside was a note written in her handwriting. Kirk, can't wait any longer, going to see Dr. Scott. It will work best this way while Mother is away. The note raised more questions than answers. Who was Kirk? Who was Dr. Scott? What did it refer to? John's mother, who was out of town at the time, claimed to know nothing about either individual. John's last known sighting was at a grocery store near her home, where a clerk recalled seeing her in good spirits. From there, her movements become a mystery. She did not report to any film set that evening, and no one else came forward with reliable sightings. The timing of her disappearance coincided with her custody battle. Police questioned Dexter Benner, who denied seeing Jean that night and insisted he was home with his new wife. Despite his history of threatening behavior, no evidence linked Benner to Jean's disappearance. In the 1940s, abortion was illegal in California, and women often turned to underground clinics for the procedure. Some theorists suggest that Jean was pregnant, possibly by Kirk, and sought the help of Dr. Scott to terminate the pregnancy. The theory posits that something went wrong during the procedure, leading to Jean's death and a cover-up. The name Kirk in Jean's note has led to speculation that she may have been romantically involved with actor Kirk Douglas, who was a rising star at the time. Douglas denied ever meeting Spangler, and no evidence has emerged to confirm a connection. However, the timing of his denial and the high-profile nature of his career have fueled suspicions. Some believe Jean's disappearance was the result of a domestic dispute, either with her ex-husband or another romantic partner. The torn purse strap and lack of other physical evidence suggest a sudden violent confrontation. Jean had worked as a dancer at Florentine Gardens, a nightclub rumored to have connections to organized crime. This theory suggests she may have witnessed something incriminating or become entangled in a dangerous situation. The mob's influence in Los Angeles at the time could explain why no clear leads emerged. The late 1940s saw several unsolved disappearances and murders in Los Angeles, including the infamous Black Dahlia case. Some theorists link Jean Spangler's disappearance to a potential serial killer operating in the area, though no concrete evidence ties the cases together. The LAPD launched a massive search effort, interviewing friends, family, and acquaintances, but no solid leads materialized. The park where her purse was found was combed extensively, but no other traces of Jean were discovered. One intriguing lead came from a gas station attendant in El Monte, who claimed to have seen a woman matching Jean's description traveling with two men in a car. According to the witness, the woman appeared frightened, but did not ask for help. Despite this report, investigators could not confirm the sighting. Jean Spangler's disappearance remains unsolved, a grim reminder of Hollywood's darker underbelly. Her case underscores the vulnerabilities faced by aspiring actresses in an industry that often exploited its most vulnerable members. Why was the investigation so inconclusive? Did authorities face pressure to close the case without implicating powerful individuals or institutions? Could modern forensic techniques shed new light on the case? Advances in DNA analysis and investigative technology might offer insights if new evidence were discovered. What happened to Jean Spangler's daughter? Christine Benner, who was just 5 years old when her mother vanished, grew up without answers about her mother's fate. Jean's story is one of ambition, mystery, and tragedy, a stark reminder of how easily lives can be erased, and how deeply the unanswered questions can haunt those left behind. On November 29, 1981, the body of actress Natalie Wood was discovered floating off Catalina Island, California. The 43-year-old star of films like West Side Story and Rebel Without a Cause had been on a yacht with her husband, actor Robert Wagner, and their friend, Christopher Walken, the night before. Initially ruled an accidental drowning, her death has since become one of Hollywood's most controversial cases, shrouded in allegations of foul play, conflicting testimonies, and unanswered questions. Natalie Wood was vacationing on her yacht, the Splendor, with her husband Robert Wagner, Christopher Walken, and the yacht's captain, Dennis Davin. The group had spent the day drinking at a restaurant before returning to the yacht that evening. According to reports, tensions had been simmering between Wagner and Walken, who were rumored to have argued over Wood's career and her time spent with Walken. Sometime during the night, Natalie Wood went missing. Hours later, her body was found about a mile from the yacht, dressed in a flannel nightgown, socks, and a red down jacket. Her dinghy, the Valiant, was located nearby. The initial investigation concluded that Wood had fallen into the water while attempting to secure the dinghy. Her death ruled an accidental drowning. However, the lack of a thorough investigation, combined with her family's disbelief at the official findings, ignited suspicions that her death was far more sinister. Key witnesses and parties involved in the case have provided varying accounts of what transpired that night. Wagner initially stated that he and Wood had argued before she went to bed, leaving him on deck with Walken. He later claimed that when he went to check on her, she was gone, and he assumed she had taken the dinghy ashore. Walken has largely avoided public discussion of the incident, stating only that it was a tragic accident. His reluctance to elaborate has fueled speculation about what he might know. In 2011, Davin came forward with new allegations, claiming that Wagner had been jealous of Wood and Walken's closeness, and that a heated argument had preceded her disappearance. Davin also accused Wagner of delaying the search for Wood, potentially costing her life. In 2012, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopened the investigation into Natalie Wood's death after Davin's statements and other new information came to light. The coroner amended her death certificate to change the cause of death from accidental drowning to drowning and other undetermined factors. This change was based on autopsy findings that suggested Wood had sustained bruises and abrasions before entering the water, raising questions about whether a struggle occurred. Key theories and speculations. The official explanation remains that Wood fell into the water while attempting to secure the dinghy. Her fear of water and inability to swim make this theory contentious, as those close to her insist she would never have attempted such a task at night, alone, and after drinking. Dennis Davin's account has reignited speculation that an argument between Wagner and Wood escalated, leading to an accidental or intentional act of violence. The bruises on Wood's body and the delay in reporting her disappearance lend weight to this theory. Some theorists suggest Christopher Walken's presence adds an unresolved dynamic to the case. While there is no evidence implicating Walken, his reluctance to speak about the incident has fueled questions about what he may have witnessed. The original investigation's perceived inadequacies, such as the lack of interviews with all witnesses and the failure to properly analyze the scene, have led to suspicions of a cover-up, either to protect Wagner or to preserve the reputations of those involved. Witnesses and investigators have highlighted the role of alcohol in the events of that night. The group had been drinking heavily throughout the day, which likely impaired judgment and escalated tensions. According to Davin, Wagner's jealousy over Wood and Walken's camaraderie had reached a boiling point, potentially leading to a confrontation. Natalie Wood's death has left an indelible mark on Hollywood and her fans, symbolizing the complexities and vulnerabilities of fame. Key questions remain unanswered. Was Natalie's death truly an accident, or the result of foul play? Did fear, power, or privilege interfere with the pursuit of justice? What role did her relationships and the pressures of Hollywood play in her tragic end? As of today, the case remains officially unsolved, a testament to the enduring allure and mystery of one of Hollywood's most iconic figures. These 10 stories remind us that Hollywood's bright lights often cast long, dark shadows. For every success story, there are tales of heartbreak, exploitation, and mystery. Whether it's the alleged mind control experiments linked to Charles Manson, the shocking claims made by Isaac Kappy, or the chilling question of whether Brittany Murphy's death was more than it seemed, each narrative pulls us closer to a truth that often feels just out of reach. But perhaps the real intrigue lies in what we may never know. As we peel back the layers, we're left to wonder how much of the truth remains hidden behind the gates of Tinseltown. Thank you for joining us as we explored the darker side of Hollywood, the mysteries, the controversies, and the untold stories that challenge what we think we know about the entertainment industry. These cases aren't just fascinating, they're a stark reminder of the price of fame, the power dynamics that govern the industry, and the lengths to which some will go to protect secrets. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. And we want to hear from you. What do you think really happened in these cases? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, my dear spooker, stay curious.